guys, hi, welcome to Expanding Beauty, and you're with me, Kunima. I'm so glad you could join. And today we are talking about one of my favorite things on earth, sparkling wine, or as I call it, champagne, because I'm just ignorant like that. But lucky for me and for you, I have a special friend here with me today, Miss Tiffany Jameson Horn, and she is a wine professional, sommelier, and a wine director, and has worked at some of the top restaurants in Toronto. And she has decided to grace our presence here today and teach us a little bit of something. So stay tuned, grab yourself a drink, because this is we're gonna get into detail. We're gonna go in, all right? So, hi, Tiffany.
Hello.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
So, we're talking champagne today, or I guess sparkling wine. I guess, actually, what is the difference?
All of the above.
Okay, yeah. So, is there a difference?
There is, and the word champagne is actually often misused to describe any sparkling wine, when champagne is actually a very specific thing. So, the only sparkling wine that is allowed to be called champagne comes from the Champagne region of France, in northern France, and there are some very strict rules around how that wine is allowed to be made. So the guidelines are, again, A, that it comes from the Champagne region of France, B, that it's made in the traditional method, which we'll talk about a little later on because it applies to a lot of different sparkling wines, not just champagne, and C, that it be made from 3 grape varieties only, which are Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Meunier, and it can be any combination of the 3 or just one of them.
Okay, wow. So then the other stuff that I'm drinking, Prosecco, they like not the same at all because they're not from the region of Champagne, or?
So yeah, Prosecco comes from the Veneto region in northern Italy. It's made from a grape called Glera. It has to be 85% Glera, and then there are other grapes that are allowed to be blended in up to about 15%. But the main difference between Prosecco and Champagne is the style of winemaking. So Prosecco, I guess we should start at the beginning. So all wine is made through a process of fermentation because that's what turns it into wine. Okay. So the wine goes through a primary fermentation, but what makes sparkling wine special is the secondary fermentation. Prosecco, the secondary fermentation is done in stainless steel tanks. And so what that does is, because stainless steel doesn't impart any kind of flavor profile or anything, it just allows the wine to be very fresh. It highlights the fruit, and it produces a style of wine that's very young, fresh, fun, fruit-driven. And Prosecco is not aged, so it is meant to be drunk very young.
So as soon as that...
Yeah, just go for it.
Okay, all right.
So in contrast, the difference to that is when we're talking champagne, and also other styles of sparkling wine, such as CAVA, Crémence, which are sparkling wines made outside of the Champagne region of France, but still within France. So when we're talking those styles of wines, the secondary fermentation for those wines is done in the actual bottle. So that is when you hear the word traditional method, or it's sometimes called the champagne method, or in French you would see méthode traditionnelle or méthode champenoise. So all of those mean the same thing, and it's this method of winemaking where the second fermentation is done in bottle. And what that does is that as the wine is fermenting for that second time, as the dead yeast cells fall to the bottom, those are called the lees. And so because the wine is in the bottle with the lees for an extended period of time, that's what imparts that bready, yeasty, like baked bread kind of flavor profile that you would often get or associate with champagne.
Okay, and it makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to, Okay, so now that we know that champagne is very specific and that it's actually the different methods that differentiates between Prosecco and then Cremant and Cava, is there also difference in quality as far, so is Prosecco like a cheaper grade? Like, is there a quality difference? Because there's a big price difference.
Yeah, so the price difference comes from a number of different things. First of all, because of that secondary fermentation in the bottle, and all the traditional method wines generally have minimum aging requirements. So for instance, for non-vintage champagne, it has to be aged for a minimum of 15 months, and then it goes up from there for vintage champagnes, different styles. So as soon as you have that requirement for aging, that means that the wine automatically gets a little pricier because it's not being sold right away. It's being stored, it's being aged, and that will add to the price tag. Okay. Also, as a part of you know, the requirements for winemaking in different regions, there are there are certain yields that are allowed for the grapes, so you can only have so many grapes per hectare or whatever, depending on what style of wine you're making. So the fewer grapes you're allowed to grow, because basically the fewer grapes, the more concentrated in flavor, the more quality wine they will produce. So the fewer grapes you're allowed to grow, the less wine you produce, and the more expensive that wine becomes. Okay. So that's another, yeah, so that's another big cost differential. Okay. And don't forget too, when we're talking champagne, it has such a cachet in the market because of its
clout.
Yes, because of its pedigree of many, many years, and it's recognized the world round, and it's just it has the most recognition and cachet, where you can find other styles of wine that are also done in the traditional method that will definitely match it in quality.
All right. Okay, so, oh, cool. So now I understand why that bottle of Cristal costs so much.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well, I also like when I see on the bottles, there's like brew and there's like demi-sec and I personally, I like my champagne and nice and tart and super dry. So, but then I have my aunt who is, let's just say we're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. So those are actually, those terms refer to the level of sweetness in the wine. So when you're looking at a doux or a demi-sec, that's going to be on the sweeter side. That's for your aunt.
Yeah.
And for you, you want to be in the brut or extra brut range. So that's the drier end of the spectrum.
Okay.
And the way that they determine that sweetness level in traditional method wines, for instance, is that after the secondary bottle fermentation, they need all of those lees or yeast cells that have collected in the bottle, they need to get out of there before it's the final corking process is done. So what they do is freeze the neck of the bottle, and then when you open the bottle, it's under pressure and that plug of lees just shoots out.
Oh, okay.
But then the wine needs to be topped up because there's space in the bottle, right? So that top up is called dosage, and that is, it can be some of the wine that's already in the bottle mixed with a little bit of sugar, so that will determine the sweetness level of the final wine. Or it can also be wines from other vintages, sort of reserve wines for the house that they want to add to that to add a little more complexity.
Okay, cool. And this doesn't mean that just because she likes something sweeter and I like something drier doesn't mean one is better than the other.
No, again, it's just a different style.
Okay.
And they all have their place. They all match with different foods. They all have different purposes. So, I mean, it's not about better or worse. It's just a different style.
Okay, cool. Cool. And here you've got a bottle for us to try.
I do.
All right, so I will let you get that ready and just give us one little moment and we'll come back to see what she has for us. Cha-ching, ching, ching. So we've got some sparkling. So please, after that, can you tell us what you've got for us?
All right, so we have here, this is...
Hold it up for
all
you.
right, thank you. So this is from a winery from my homeland of Nova Scotia called Benjamin Bridge. So
I'm just gonna pull it up so you guys can see the label closely.
So Nova Scotia, a lot of people may not know this, but I'm from there, so I care. Nova Scotia actually has quite an up-and-coming wine industry in the past 5 years or so, and one of my favorite wines from there are actually the sparkling varieties, and similar to Ontario, because Nova Scotia is considered a cool climate wine region, they do sparkling wines really well.
Who knew?
Yeah. So this is a blend of, I believe Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. So those are two grape varietals that thrive in cooler regions. So Burgundy in France, for instance, which is very close to Champagne, also grows Pinot Noir and Chardonnay and is considered a cool climate wine region. So they have that in common.
And I noticed here you have that, it says underneath méthode classique.
Méthode classique. So that would be another way of saying méthode traditionnelle or méthode champenoise.
All right. Okay. And if you don't mind me asking, price point of this bottle?
I believe this one goes for $44.95 retail, about $45.
Not bad at all. And for us here in Canada, we have something called the LCBO. Is this available in the LCBO?
So this one in particular, I don't believe is currently available in the LCBO. There's another wine from this winery called Nova 7, which I know has come in and out of vintages in the LCBO over the past couple of years. And there is a wine agency that now represents Benjamin Bridge in Ontario, so that means you will start to see some of their wines in restaurants, hopefully. I've seen the Nova 7 in a couple already, but that's the only one so far. So I'm hoping that we will be importing this one as well, and their other sparkling wines. And yeah, but for now, I got this from home and we're gonna drink it.
Yes, we are. And on that note, please do the honors. I noticed that these are the glasses we're drinking from. So is there a reason we're not? I thought it was flutes.
Yeah, so the thing is, flutes have been the most popular and the most well-known vessel for drinking sparkling wine. And the main reason for that is that they showcase the bubbles really nicely in a visual way, first of all, but they also help to preserve the bubbles while it's in the glass. However, whereas that would work really well, say for a Prosecco or for something that's meant to be drunk just young and fresh, when you have wines that have a little bit of that aging on them, then you have a lot of multi-layered flavor profiles that really don't come out as well in a flute, because you want a bit of a wider bowl and a wider top to the glass so that they can aerate and those flavors can develop with the air. Now you will notice that it still is, this is kind of a tulip shape, so it's still a smaller top than you would see, say, in a red wine glass or anything like that, because you still do want to preserve those bubbles, but you want a sort of a compromise to open it up a little bit to the air so that all of those beautiful flavors in there get a chance to develop.
Okay, nice. Now I want all of those beautiful flavors in my
glass.
And I'm going to tuck away because I got hit by one of those things once. So
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm just taking the foil off now, but I will.
I'll protect the glasses
Yes.
too.
So I'm gonna stand up for a second so that we can just give a brief tutorial on opening the wine without hurting anybody.
Oh, that would be nice.
So the most important thing is, yes, do we want to? Okay, so the most important thing is I usually use a cloth or linen or something, go over the top, and you'll see here the cage gets unscrewed. As soon as you have unscrewed the cage, you should not remove your hand from the top, because you don't want that cork, if it's under a little extra pressure and this bottle is a little extra overexcited, you don't want that cork popping off and hurting anybody, and that can happen.
Do not hear that. Do not remove your hands at this
So
stage.
once the cage is open, nothing's holding it in the bottle anymore except for, you know, the pressure. But so you want to be very mindful not to remove your hand from the top, and then you twist always from the bottom and just ease the cork out gently. And ideally we do it, I know that the pop is really fun, but ideally you do it just with a little less drama. I did a terrible job of removing the foil here. Shh.
That'll be our little secret.
That'll be our little secret. And see there, we have our open bottle, which we will now pour.
Oh, yes, please.
All right, so cheers.
Cheers. Oh.
Oh, beautiful.
I just drank it. I'm not a professional. I just went right. Oh.
Oh,
Girl.
so good.
Oh my God, guys. I don't know if you can see. I literally have goosebumps. Goosebumps. Oh.
So exciting.
Oh gosh.
So this is a really beautiful dry rosé sparkling wine from Benjamin Bridge in Nova Scotia. Has that those beautiful red berry flavors.
Oh my gosh. This is.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
oh, you're welcome.
Oh. This is. Oh my gosh.
And so I was thinking about pairings for rosé sparkling today because that's what we're drinking, and I'm making dinner. So some things that pair really well with sparkling rosés are, I'm doing tonight, I'm going to do chicken stuffed with a little bit of cheese with black pepper. So I'm using the Bolsan cheese that you can buy at the grocery store.
Okay, all right, see?
It's a soft cheese.
Elegant, but you know.
Yeah, soft cheese with black pepper. Black pepper is a very good match for sparkling rosé. I'm also stuffing it with a little bit of fig. So fig and black pepper cheese.
Go on.
Right. And then on the side, we're going to have a carrot and cherry tomato salad with a little bit of olive oil and a bit of aged balsamic. So all of those are things that pair really nicely with rosé, sparkling rosé. You can also do my first choice of poultry with rosé would always be duck. So this would be beautiful with a nice medium rare duck breast, or you can also really good with charcuterie. So prosciutto, that cured meats go really well as well. You can almost think of this as like a little fruit jam on the side of your charcuterie platter. So yeah, so those are a few things that pair really well, and that's what we're having tonight.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Before we go, because now, like, the juice is in my mouth. I need to eat, and I want to drink some more. So, any tips? I'm walking into the LCBO, or if you have a liquor store, and I want to buy some champagne or sparkling wine. At least from the LCBO, where should I go? Just like.
So
what should I look for?
I would always check the vintages section, because they do have a sparkling wine section in vintages, and you'll see things in there that you don't see on the regular shelves. So they'll get in, you know, small batches of interesting things that won't go through the general listings. So I would always check vintages and see what they have there. And they're in all price ranges as well. Vintages isn't just for expensive wines, it's just they bring things in smaller quantities that won't make it to general list because there's just not enough of it. So it really is a range of price ranges, and it's always worth checking to see what they have. And then my other advice is just to think about what occasion this is for. You know, you don't have to always blow the money on a vintage champagne. As we talked about, there are so many good alternatives to that. So any I personally love créments from France. So again, créments are sparkling wines made in France outside the Champagne region, and a lot of different regions make them. You have Crémant de Bourgogne from Burgundy, Crémant de Jura, you have Crémant de Loire. So a lot of different regions in France make their own sparkling wine from their own local grapes, and créments are always a great option to look for. LCBO has some excellent ones always.
Cool.
I often bring that to a party, if you remember.
Yes, I do, and I often guzzle it down.
Yeah. And also, one thing I want to mention that I really enjoy, you only see it occasionally coming through vintages, but there's another Italian sparkling wine called FRANCIACORTA that is made in the traditional method. It comes from Lombardy.
Okay.
And it, again, you just see it occasionally come through vintages, but if you ever see one, grab it. It's fantastic. It, you can often match them up against champagne quality-wise, but the price tag can be a little bit lower. So it's a really good value for a special occasion wine. If you have the chance to try them, I really recommend it.
Okay.
And I also need to give a shout out to CAVA because I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
Can't forget
again,
Cava.
and again, cavas are made in the traditional method, come with a significantly lower price tag,
Yeah.
depending on what level they are, how long they've been aged, for instance.
Now we understand why.
Yeah, so I would always look for cavas as well because they offer a really great value, and again, made in the traditional method, which will still give you all that nice complexity.
Okay. Thank you so much for taking your time and for sharing this amazing sparkling wine with me. I wish there was like taster through the, but honestly, this is amazing. Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
you are also available for consultations, for events, for companies, for as well as creating wine lists and wine programs. And
Absolutely.
so what's the best way for people to reach you?
So I believe you're gonna post my information.
Yes, all the information in order to know in detail the services that Tiffany offers and what is available to you will be down in the description box below.
And I do have a website which will be listed there as well, so you can visit the website, and then there's a form there that you can send me a little note, or I can also just be contacted directly by email, which I'll provide for you as well to share.
Oh, great. And we can follow you on the gram, on the Instagrams?
Yes, you can. It's my personal Instagram, but it's mostly about wine.
Yes.
So. And my Instagram is Tiffany JH.
I'll leave that down in
leave
the description box down below as well. But definitely the website details and the email contact as well. And once again, thank you so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love wine, and I hope, cross fingers, that if we're lucky enough, perhaps you'll join us again and we can talk some more.
Anytime. It's my favorite topic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know it's detailed, but I like to get into the detail of things. So leave your comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. I would so love it if you subscribed, and of course share this video out. And yeah, welcome to my little corner of YouTube, Expanding Beauty. Now we're gonna drink. We're gonna get tipsy and eat some good food. Bye!
Cheers.